Okay, so the last question is saying we should sketch this. So in order to sketch this, as the instructions said, we first need to sketch, let me draw my axes. These are just the x and y axes. Let's find the center. That's our first step. Well, that's my first step. The center is going to be, if you let this equal to 0, you'd get x is 2. If you let this equal to 0, you get x is 1, or you get y is 1. So that's your center. 2 and 1. That's 2 on this side, 1 on this side, some point close to that. That's our center, 2 and 1. Our u and v axes, which they said we should sketch, u squared by 3 minus v squared by 4 equals 1. Our u and v axes are just going to be a horizontal line and a vertical line passing through the center. Right, it's just going to be a line this way and a line that way. And guess what? One line is just x equals 2 and the other is y equals 1. U and V are just two lines passing through the new center now, which is the new origin as well. Center. So which one replaced y? U replaced y minus 1. So U has to be the vertical one. Which one replaced x? V replaced x minus 2. So V has to be horizontal, just like x. Okay. That was the first part of the question. The question just said we should sketch the new V and Y axes, and we should find the new origin, which is going to be the center 2 and Y. Right? And then the intercepts on the U and V axes. Now we are sketching the graph. We need to find the intercepts of the graph with the U and V axes. To find that, we first need to find our A. Our A is always is the square root of the denominator with the positive coefficient. Square root of the denominator with the positive coefficient. So square root of 3, basically, that's A. What is A? Square root of the denominator with the positive coefficient. 4 hyperbolas. So if A is square root of 3, which they approximated for us on the question, they said we can approximate this to be 1,7. They gave us on the question. You don't have to know this by head. They gave you on the question for the specific question. Now that we know our A is basically the distance from here to the intersection and from here to the intersection, right? So the distances are 1,7. So basically I move here, from 1, from y equals 1, move 1,7 units downwards, and also move from here upwards, move 1,7 units upwards. That just means this, well, moving to here, we still have the 2 as our x coordinate. We still have the 2 as our x coordinate, but our y coordinate is going to be 1 plus 1,7, right? Because plus this distance. Plus 2, the answer becomes 2,7. because 1 plus 1,7, right? This distance right here, don't write this distance like this, but it's 1,7. It's A. It's the value of A. Then this distance is also 1,7. So to find this coordinate, it must be 1 minus 1,7, which gives me negative 0,7. Right? That's this point right there. That's that point right there. Okay. That's the interception of the function with the u-axis. Intercepts here and intercepts there. Let me draw that. The function now. Function has to be like this. Okay, I don't know if I have a short-term memory, but I don't know if I explained why the function has to be like this. So I'm going to explain it again. If I already did, sorry. How I basically remember it is the one that has a negative must not be touched. Don't touch the negative. V squared is the one that has a negative coefficient. So the function will not touch the v-axis. Therefore, it has to go like this, running away from the v-axis. Right. Now that means our asymptote has to be running like this, and then the other asymptote has to be running like this. Your asymptotes have to pass through the center. Right, they have to pass through the center of the axis, the center of the whole thing. And yeah, let me check the next question. They said find the u and v axis, we did. They said find the new origin, we did. They said find the intercept of the u and v axis, we did. The focus point, that's what we need to find now, the focus point. Okay, so the focus point, right? The distance from the center to the focus point is C. The distance from the center to the focus point is C. How do we find C? C squared equals A squared plus B squared. Therefore, C squared must be equal to what's A? A square root of 3. What's B? It's 2, because B is just square root of 4. Basically, this becomes 3 plus 4, which is 7. But that's C squared. We are looking for C. We're going to take it as positive on a square root of 7. Square root of 7, we were approximated or given an approximation on the question, and we said it's 2,6. They told us it's 2,6. That's the distance from the center to the focus point. From the center to the focus point. So from here up to the focus point, the difference is 2,6. So just take this one and add a 2,6. And you have your thing. So you have a 2 and a 3,6. This is not too bad. If you guys do a lot of questions on this, you'll be okay. Just practice a lot of questions. That's the only thing an engineer needs to do. You don't have to go watch explanations on a lot of YouTube videos, honestly. Respectfully too. This minus 2.6 is going to be negative 1.6, I think. Even if I'm wrong, it's not too deep. You guys understand the method. That's the main point. Okay, so we found the distance to the focus point. We found the focus point. These are our focus points. We need to find the directrix and the asymptotes equations now. So the equation for the directrix, direction is like a vertical line where all those properties of like these functions and stuff, you don't have to know a lot about that stuff. Plus or minus, you just need to memorize this equation like I did. Yes, you must memorize this equation. This is the equation for your directrix. In this case, right? In this case, if it was like twisted like this, you'd have a slightly different case. But in this case, this is the equation for the directrix. So for the directrix, we already know our A. Do we know our C? Our C is 2.6. So we can just find the directrix. Directrices, there's going to be two directrices. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but you guys get the idea. A squared is 3, because that's A squared. C is 2.6. So the directrix is 1 plus this. Y is equal to 1 plus this. Or 1 minus this. I can't evaluate this. Why are you trying to get us to evaluate this? Y equals, but like the denominator is smaller than the numerator, so this whole thing is slightly greater than 1. It's slightly greater than 1. So that means the directrix, if we're saying it's 1, right, this 1 plus these guys, which is slightly greater than 1. Here it's gonna be somewhere there, I guess. And then 1 minus this guy. Since it's slightly greater than 1, it has to be below the x-axis a bit. So your first directrix is like y equals, I don't know, 1 plus 3 over 2.6. Second, y equals 1 minus 3 over 2.6. I hope, yeah. So directrix, 1 plus a squared over c, that took us there. 1 minus a squared over c, that took us here. Those are two directrices. Yeah, I think that's the entire question. Oh, no. Last question. I think the last question, asymptotes. So asymptotes are basically rise over run. These guys must be in terms of A or B multiplied by X, plus or minus. Okay? Rise over run, but you have to use A and B for rise or run, and multiply by X. Those are the equations of your asymptotes. So to find our asymptotes here, like this distance is A. Since A is a distance that is going up, that means your rise has to be A, and then your run has to be B. Y equals plus or minus A over B X. And then you just substitute your A and B. Y equals, our A was √3 over B. Oh, no, our B was 2x. So then you can write these two equations separately. First one, y equals positive √3 over 2x. The other one, y equals negative √3 over, oh no, dang. I'm so sorry, guys. Slight mistake. Well, not slight, actually. This is for center at the origin. Right? So if the center was at this origin, then we would use this. But in our case, our center has been shifted. 1 unit this way, 2 units this way, 1 unit upwards. So you have to shift your asymptotes appropriately. Yeah, that's why I was confused a bit, but I didn't show. Y equals, so if that's the case, like your y has to be shifted, right? Your y has to be shifted by 1 unit equals plus or minus, the a over b logic is still the same, root 3 over 2, x has to be shifted. Basically this, and then you make your y the subject, and then you're good. Yeah. Algebra is a bit harder to understand, but I hope you guys understand. If there's anything you think I should reiterate on, or it's topic you guys are still weak on, let me know on WhatsApp as always, and I'm gonna try to make sure to support you guys. Sharp.